Welcome. You have found the show we call Real Men Don't Cry, or Do They? This is a podcast for men, and on this show, we will hear real-life stories from men about how they have navigated the complexities of being a man in this modern day. We are going to look at the boys don't cry way of thinking and how that has influenced them and how they have risen above societal pressures to be true to themselves. The focus of this show is men's real-world experiences, not just ideas and theories. I hope that you will learn from what they have discovered and use it in your life as well. Let's get into today's show. Hello, this is Brandon Archer. This is the show Real Men Don't Cry, or Do They? I have been watching this man for... He's going to have to help me with how long that is. I want to say 2 years. It might not quite be 2 years. And the growth this guy has shown is just like, it's a large reason why I do things like men's group and help people one-on-one coaching and this podcast, because I want people to just hear real stories, real struggles, real growth from men. And this guy is doing it. He's doing it. And there is such power in listening to stories from men that are just doing it. So, Jesse Hampton, thanks for saying yes to this conversation. Glad you're here.
Thanks, Brandon. It was an honor to get that invitation and just a quick little glimpse at what other people like you see in what's going on in my world. Yeah. Grateful for that.
Yeah, well, that's a good point, because when you're in it, it's hard to see. It's really hard to see. You're just doing life and you're like, you can forget where you were, or you can forget how you handle things differently than you did 18 months ago, 12 months ago, 6 months ago. But I've been watching you. You do. It must feel so good for you.
It's a reward that just keeps showing itself in little ways over and over again.
Yeah.
Just a glimpse of a particular moment that maybe would have knocked me off my center, and it breezes right by in a calm state, like it was nothing. So those little moments in growth, I think, are the little flashes of success.
Do you find when they happen, you're like, wait a minute, what just happened?
Oh, like my somatic system is something I recognize all the time. Hey, wait a second. My heart's not racing, not feeling anxious, and I'm just present. I'm not in some kind of fight or flight mode. And then everything else seems easy and yeah, normal. I think that's called normal.
Yeah, let's talk about normal. Let's absolutely do that. Let's go to the start. Can you do a quick intro, just who you are, where you are, anything you want to share would be fantastic.
Yes, Jesse Hampton, 45 years old. I am an artist by way of musician and photographer as hobbies and passions. And then I have a career as a carpenter. I am a father of 3 teenage sons. In this moment, managing a single life as a dad, and have navigated 2 long-term relationships. And right now it feels I'm just on a path of getting to know who I am again for the first time.
You know what I noticed? I forgot to mention it in our men's group. That was just last night, actually. You're introducing yourself by your passions now, what you do. I'm an artist. I picked up on it and then I forgot to say something to you, but you did it again. It's like, I just happen to do this for income, but this is actually who I am over here.
It was a conscious choice some time ago because I felt this. I'm not an artist because I'm not making money at it. I'm not an artist because it's not my identity as something wrapped up in career, as often as we hear each other explain, hey, who are you? What do you do? What I do during the day to make money is totally different than who I am. And my passion is being an artist in so many ways. So, like that positive self talk, like that, saying it out loud makes it real. It's, I'm an artist and it keeps happening better and better.
Did you used to identify as a carpenter?
Yeah. Yeah. That was the intro. That was like, here's my career. This equals my identity. Here's my little box that you can put me in. And any kind of thought of what you think a carpenter is what you're going to put me in now. And it was pretty limiting. So by changing it up and not explaining what my career is first, but who I am inside, it kind of changes the way I feel like I do my art anyways. Now it kind of seems
Yeah,
right.
a couple things are coming up for me right now. One is, in our men's group, we read Way of the Superior Man as a group, however many months ago. And he in there suggests men spend an hour a day on their purpose. But their purpose isn't necessarily their career. And it makes me think of what you're
Mm.
saying. And I know, you're doing a lot of photography. I know you're doing that. Like you're living the way I see that. You're living your purpose, but your purpose is not your career. Your career, your job is to provide a home and shelter, but you're still being like authentic to who you are. I think it's fantastic. I don't know if you realize you're doing that. Like you're kind of like moving more in the direction of authenticity, but I believe you are.
That has been the top of my motivation in especially the last 6 months, navigating a breakup of a long-term relationship. Who am I? What am I about? And what's been holding me back? What didn't I just show authentically because of some story that I held on to? So this walk of authenticity has just been exactly that. It's show myself who I am, do what I want and I love, and that's it. Because there's no more story that needs to hold me back anymore.
So in your two long-term relationships, how did you, I'm just going to give you the word, how did you betray yourself in being authentic?
Learning a bit about my dynamic of how I received love and validation. I felt like if I gave all of myself to the whatever that moment was in relation that would get me what I needed. And so I betrayed myself in just not expressing who I am, what I need, going after the things that filled me up so that I could be spilling over the sides and giving all that. And I just felt like it was giving from an empty cup. But if I worked hard at it and I did it, maybe if I gave a little bit harder, or, something that wasn't authentic, then just maybe I might feel like I am accepted, loved, and validated.
Yeah, I mean, we do that so often, right? Men and women do that in a relationship. How, when you realized you were doing that, I know. So, first of all, have we known each other 2 years now? I feel like it is 2 years, but
I think we're coming up in the new year.
wow, man, that
Even February, two
doesn't
years.
even feel real. Time, right? In that amount of time, I mean, I've seen you shift the way you view almost everything. It's been fascinating. Was there a time in that process where you realized, wow, I don't have boundaries in my relationship? I need to put some boundaries in place because I'm losing myself or I've betrayed myself.
Yeah, it was exactly that. It was, why would anybody trust me if I can't be trusted to honor my own self? And how could I lead in a relationship when I couldn't lead myself to provide those things. So just learning about the lack of boundaries that I could have shared, but just wasn't in that space. I know so much more about how that would be received and how I would really desire things to go.
I remember when you first joined the men's group, you how did you word it? I don't, maybe you can help me out with this. Something to the effect of you were trying to get your needs met in the relationship. And you had a kind of a list of needs, if I remember right. Has that evolved? Has that list changed?
Yeah. Yeah. I reflect on what I was seeking externally. So many things. They were all external. I need this to feel that way. I need her to do this to make me feel this way. And what I've grown to know is that it's all internal work. It all comes from within, and only the external love that I would desire, it would just enhance what I already know I can give to myself.
So what, I know you're single at the moment, but what is a need in a relationship now that you feel is healthy and not external?
Acceptance comes to mind, and I am enough right now as I am. And I think a need would be to reflect and mirror back to me what and where I might not be acting in my own integrity, but it's only something that I could use that mirror to show me where I can fulfill that spot in me.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I mean, I have sort of a reason I asked that question because I've recently discovered some things for myself about needs in a relationship because I've done so much work and I felt quite, I'll say, whole. Love took on a completely different texture for me. Romantic relationship, completely different texture. And only through practicing in relationship was I able to kind of realize that my needs in relationship have evolved. First of all, they've really evolved, from being, I'll just use the words needy, as I dealt and healed with my inner child and realized I can fulfill a lot of his needs, my needs. I wasn't leaving space for a partner to basically connect with me. This is very recent. This is like Friday, Saturday. I kind of had these realizations and I was super triggered. I felt abandoned. I knew what was going on. She did nothing wrong. Her daughter needed her. Nothing wrong with that. But it brought up so much inside me. And I'm like, what do I need right now? Like, I know all the things to do for myself, but what is a reasonable ask from me to her in this moment? And I used to think, I don't want to say it was weakness. I think it's just the evolution of going from, having all this wounding, working through it, and then you get on the other side and you're a little bit healed, but you're still a human being, right? So I went from needing way too much subconsciously, projecting everything on to like, okay, wait a minute. It is okay for me to ask this thing from her. It's not a burden. And I know it will like help me get through this moment. I am going to share it because why the heck not? I think this is valuable for people listening. A lot of people that feel anxious, you and I come from that realm of attachment style. We have this deep abandonment wound. And when our partner can't be there for us, cancels a date, whatever it might be, it can really set us off. And that's exactly what happened. And I'm not going to get into what happens in childhood to do that. But for me, that's what was happening. I was like, holy fuck, I am like, this really derails me. And my ask from her was, can you please just like put your hand on my heart and say, I know this is really hard for you. That's it. Like, that's all I wanted and needed. And that is such an evolution from not even knowing what I needed, to be honest, to like, I can handle my emotions. I can handle these like waves of anxiety I'm feeling, but also I want to give my partner the opportunity to feel like she's part of the equation of connecting with me. And I botched it. I botched the ask. It was terrible because I was scared shitless, to be honest, to ask her. Because what if she says no, even though logically, like, who would say no to that? It's such an easy thing. It's not like this emotional drain on her, which you can probably relate to. Historically, I've asked women for things that are just way too much emotionally, like way too much. And I saw her Sunday and we kind of revisited the botched conversation Saturday. Yeah, I'm going to get what I need now. And it's wild. It's wild to me because, I watch your evolution. And when you met, you had these like things that were too much to ask of her, but you weren't in a space to know they were too much to ask. You just had all these things going on internally, like, I need her to do this, this, and this, and this. And as you've learned how to hold yourself, who knows what's next for you in relationship? It's going to feel completely different.
Yeah, I really feel like the evolving understanding of my own needs is the catalyst for what is going to come. I resonate with what you're saying about like I'm feeling something right now and I'm able to know what I'm feeling, which is a really profound change in my whole life. Naming the feeling that's coming up, sitting with it and letting it happen, not because it's all right to feel that way inside, not trying to chase it out, shoo it out, or turn off the lights on it. And know that it's not going to last, but it's just a bigger part of the puzzle or the experience as joy and happiness. But if I can name it, I can feel it and be in it, then I can also ask, would you want to stick around and try and understand this with me? And I don't need her to fix it. I don't need her to solve it, but I'm feeling something right now and I want to let you in on it so that you see me. And that energy of being seen while you're feeling something difficult that's huge. That's healing.
Yeah. How did you go from, like, how did you learn how to name your feelings?
Oh, the hard way.
The hard. I don't think there's another way.
No, it was first naming the feelings that came up when I wanted to run from them. So it wasn't being able to identify what I was feeling right away, but I'm feeling like running away from this. I'm feeling like I'm scared of the answer. I'm I'm feeling like I don't know what to do if I actually feel this way because I have to do something about it. And that was a change too, is just experiencing it in an open way without needing to change it or do anything. Just be in it.
So previous to that, had you been, I mean, obviously societally men are like told to stuff that stuff down. Like, oh no, you don't have feelings. No, you don't feel like running away. Toughen up. What had been your personal experience with your feelings before that, or what you believed a man should do with feelings?
Yeah, that's a good question because it wasn't part of my childhood growing up to express myself. I wasn't encouraged to let it all out and, just cry for the sake of crying or feeling angry and expressing it in a way that just tells it. I also had a career in a kind of an antiquated emotional environment of construction, man up, check your feelings at the gate. And there was no connection to it. It was just, well, work harder at not feeling this way. It was kind of it.
Isn't that crazy? I just find that so bonkers. Like, don't feel that way. Like, what? I do feel that way. What are you talking about?
A complete denial of a human experience, and some external source says, no, don't do that. Yeah, it's not.
What? I don't, you know what? I don't remember ever asking about your parents very much. How did your mom, when you were smaller and you showed emotions or feelings of any kind, how did she interact with you?
I have a sense there was a lot of nurture in the comforting of it. And I also don't feel like it was really encouraged to express. And I can recall like I can recall times where my feelings weren't okay at the time to be feeling that way. Um, there'd be a certain social setting or out somewhere, um, and it just wasn't okay to be in that space and feeling the way I did. So I learned to express whatever I needed to get that love that I was looking for, that connection. And that was probably tied to, well, being really nice and polite, not making a fuss, not standing out, and probably had something tied to performance. If I
Hmm.
did well at something, I feel that I got more praise, more love, and those celebratory feelings were welcome.
Now, looking back and just with what you've learned, how would you have liked those scenarios to go? What do you think you
Hmm.
needed?
I think hearing the question, what's going on right now inside? Tell me all about it. And just allowing that space to happen.
How are you taking that and applying it to your sons?
Having this feeling of not, I don't want to repeat this cycle. I don't want to tell them that, man up. You don't need to cry about that. Like when they're growing up. I right now in their teenage years, I'm encouraging every conversation that they can bring to me. Whatever they can open up with, I'm 100% willing to hear every bit of it. And I do feel like they have more to share when it's available to share it. And just keeping that door open of, it doesn't matter what's going on. I want to know your experience.
Mm-hmm. Want to know your experience. I like that. I really like that. Are they like three boys? I can't even imagine what that would be like. Are they emotional or all like is one more emotional than the other two? How does that kind of play out?
And every child is their unique own selves. They're not, I can't imagine siblings being the same or parenting them same in any way, but I think just the approach of what each one needs, and even if there is some tightness in not wanting to share, keeping that invitation open and just asking a little bit more than, hey, are you all right? Yeah, I'm good. Okay, cool. And carry on. There's always a couple more things that I feel like that I want to ask and just know their experience. That's it.
I'm going to use that because my son, he doesn't tell me much for various reasons. Um, and I'm okay. It makes me a bit sad because I think some things happen when they're younger that made him shut down, like did to a lot of us, really. But I like that. I want to know what your experience is because I don't know if you remember, like thinking my parents had no clue about me at all.
Hmm.
And I'm like, God damn it. He probably thinks I don't care. He probably thinks I don't understand. So we actually had a conversation a few days ago. I just kind of a one-way conversation, but he seems to actually do pretty good if I just share information with him. He seems to digest it well. But I want to know your experience. I freaking love that one. So simple.
And just what you shared there is you give him a little bit. I mean, we can't cold call these kids and say, hey, let's talk about your feelings. But I can't talk about mine.
Yeah.
And I can open the door to where I'm at and share how I'm feeling, what comes up for me when certain things happen, and how I'm coping, what I'm doing
Yeah.
to help myself in that. And I might have missed a lot of what they felt and a lot of opportunities to hear them, but they can also see where I'm coming from and where I am now and lead that. So dad can talk about his feelings with me, then maybe it's a safer place for me to open up to.
I'm also going to do that more. I'm trying to think. I don't think I do that. I do that when I do that with him sometimes, but I think you're right. I think that could really help. But also they learn by watching us more than anything, right? How do you be a man? We could have all the freaking textbooks we want. It doesn't really matter. How are we living our lives? And that's what they're going to lean towards mostly.
Yeah. How does dad handle those situations? How does I I know they're watching and I know
Yeah.
they're soaking it in. And I know I handled things in a way that wasn't in integrity with how I am now.
Yeah.
And, I can see now where I want to be, where I'm going and where I am. And that's the leadership that I desire for them to see and witness.
Yeah. It's self-leadership, right? I've thought a lot about this, man, because, I said and did things towards my kids that I was ashamed for a long time. But I could have handled it one of two ways, or any parent can. You can like feel the shame and you can turtle and you can like not do anything and you can just stay the same, or you can model change behavior, right? You can model, yeah, dad used to do that and now he does this. And to me, that's powerful because you're also modeling to them in their future years. They can change their behavior. They can overcome hard emotions too. Can they
Hmm.
comprehend it at age 16, 19? I think it varies. I think it really, really varies. But if they watch us do it, like how much further ahead are they than with our parents? Like my parents are exactly the same as they were when I was a kid,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Same
And
viewpoints, same everything, but like you said, I want my kids to have a different experience, and they are. They are. Is it perfect? Fuck no, nowhere close.
oh no,
But
it's human. It's human.
it's like, guys, I'm gonna do the best, and you're gonna have all this shit to deal with. Like you just are.
Yeah, no one's coming out of childhood without something to look back on as an adult saying, wow, that was really fun. But
Yeah,
look at me and my empowerment to notice that and to do something about it. I saw my dad do that, and I can do that too.
or my dad talked about his feelings openly. Like I think that's such a big one, right? Like, even if we're
And
not,
this,
you know, my son doesn't give me a lot of what's going on inside back. And I understand why. It's okay. But yeah, just showing them that this is possible, you know. While that book, what was it called? Raising Boys, where I read that paragraph in the men's group to Zach because his son is 6 and just starting to challenge him. And it makes me laugh because Zach's like, what the fuck? Like, what is this? But in that book, I open it up and I'm like, age 6 to 13, learning how to be masculine. And I'm like, here you go, buddy. This is what's happening. Like he's right where he should be. He's right where he should be. He's looking to you to figure out how to
yes.
be a man.
And they are always just a little ahead of where you are ready to do the parenting. You know, their developmental age is just going to push you as it's happening, not
Yeah.
not ahead of the game.
Oh man, I'm just thinking of, ways my son's challenged me because he moved in, I don't know, it's been 2 or 3 years ago, moved in with me full time. Love it. Don't want him to be anywhere else. But it was hard for a while. And when we would talk about something that needed to be talked about, I would kind of try to be light and potentially funny. And I asked him one day, it's like, what do you think of these talks? And he hated that I was like trying to be light. He just wanted the straight goods from me. I'm like, okay, we can do that. But it's
We're gonna take
fascinating
that.
because I didn't expect that. But it makes sense to me when I think about it. It's like, what do you want from your dad? Just don't fuck around. Just tell me like it is, man. Like, I hold him when he needs to be held. And maybe it's just him. I don't know. Like, I don't know because I don't have another son to compare it to. But it was really interesting because he was able to articulate how he needed me to show up, which was super cool because that's just relationship. That's not father son. That's me and anybody else. It's like, what do they need from me? It's like, and that's where like, oh man, that's a thread to pull on. That's where guys like you and me with old people pleasing habits, you can't morph who you are for those people, which we're so used to doing.
Indeed.
And giving from that empty cup you talked about, it's different than showing up how they need us to show up.
Yeah, and just having that knowledge of, now I know how to receive them by just cutting right into, I know what you need because you told me, and I
Yeah.
would do that for you. Yeah.
But it's no different in a romantic relationship.
And we're showing up because they told us how they needed, and I want to provide that. Not to get something from it, but I want to know your experience. So I think I'm just going to keep using that.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. And then, boundaries come into play. So when my partner, on the weekend, I'm like, I have something, I think I think I know what I need from you. And she's like, well, like, I'll try, maybe. And here's the thing with like how people, air quotes, need us to show up, want us to show up. We then have to decide, like, can I do that? Right? It's because maybe we can't. Maybe we're betraying ourselves with what they're asking. And this goes full circle back to like, as men or anybody, like learning to hold yourself first. Your heart, your wounds, your everything is so important because there is times they can't be there for us.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Right? And it's hard for me. I don't know what you think, but it's hard for me to like say no. I'm better at it now, but it was fucking hard. It's like, no, I can't do that. Because I know if I do that, if I show up for this thing, whatever it is, or if I do that for you, I'm betraying myself and I'm actually trying to do it from an empty cup. And it's not going to help any of us. Super fucking hard to do.
Yeah, I really find that not being authentic to what I'm actually capable of holding in that moment. If I denied my own intuition of, you know what, this isn't something that I can hold right now, but there's things that I could do for myself to come back to this, and it might be totally different.
Yeah.
But I know what I need in order to either accept what you want to express or not. But I'll know, and I'll be able to express that instead of just nice guying it and not showing up fully and completely, even if it was my no.
Man, these podcasts are wild. I'm like, I don't know where this is going today. And we like fucking touched on some cool shit. I actually thought I was going to cry today. Totally thought I'm like, God damn it. No, I'm going to cry. But I don't feel like that's going to happen now. We could keep going, but let's wrap it up. And I know you've listened to most of the podcasts, and I end with a couple questions. But I've got some different ones for you. The first one is, what message do you have for the partner you're with 10 years from now?
That is a new question. I prepared myself for your old questions.
I figured you might.
Could you say that one more time?
What message do you have for the partner you'll be with 10 years from now?
I'm going to go with, I can't wait to see all the light that you have in every moment. And I think that comes from just being whole in myself and being able to see someone else's light because I know my own.
What message do you have for Jesse 5 years from now?
You're only getting better. It's the way I
Nice.
feel right now. And in 5 years, I know that's going to be the same feeling.
Yeah, you're 45, so you'll be 50, and I turned 50 in 2 days, so I can verify that. Okay. Is there anything you would like to say, like any closing message to men that are listening? Like, if you have one thing you would like them to take away from today, what would it be?
It's a message that's come to me just recently. And it's, you are enough as you are.
Yeah, that is beautiful because it's true. Doesn't probably feel true for most people, but it is.
It's a big topic for men to feel like we're not enough. And all the ways that we strive to feel enough. But that one line can maybe set that free.
Absolutely. Beautiful, beautiful message. Would you like to have people reach out to you? Is that okay if people reach out to you if they like what you had to say and check out your photography?
Yeah. I sat with this feeling in not feeling enough to have something to share worth anything in your podcast. I sat with that feeling.
Jesse.
Oh yeah, I navigated the whole thing.
I know. I'm not gonna take that away. I know that was hard, and I want to acknowledge you that it was hard, and thank you for like doing it because I might cry. God damn it. This is what I want this podcast to be about, is guys just showing up through the fear, whatever it might be, and sharing what's going on, because as you know, we don't do that as men. So to hear a guy have to work through it just to come on here is fucking, that's what this is all about.
Yeah, it's breaking that cycle of not feeling enough. So thank you for your invitation.
Thank you for taking me up on it. I can't wait to share this with everyone. Thanks for being here, man.
Glad I came.
Thanks for taking the time to be here today. I honestly hope you found something you can use in your life. And I hope you found some relief in knowing that you're not the only one with challenges. We can be very isolated as men. If you don't have support in your life, please reach out to someone. It's okay to need help. It doesn't mean that you're less of a man. In fact, it takes a courageous man to know when it's time to ask for guidance. Until next time, brother.